Hello everyone, today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 inverted roller coasters that I've ridden as of October 2018. Now, this does include all inverted coasters I've ridden, such as like B&M inverts, Vekoma inverted coasters. I haven't ridden any Intamin inverts, but like this is just of all the inverts that I've done over the years I've been riding roller coasters. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming at number 10 is going to be pretty obvious. These are Mind Eraser, Twisted Typhoon. I've ridden 3 Vekoma SLCs, and Vekoma SLCs are dreaded among the enthusiast community. However, of the 3 SLCs I've ridden, I hate these 2. The other one I've ridden, which we'll get to later, I actually enjoyed that for some weird reason. However, these 2 rides were just awful. They were extremely rough, super shaky, literally, the entire train is just shaking through the entire course, and literally, your head will be smacked back and forth. Like your head's gonna be ricocheting like a pinball. It is unbearable, and no, like these coasters just suck. In Mind Eraser, yeah, let's just say that erased my mind. So, Become SLCs just suck. And I do not like riding SLCs at all, with the exception of the one that I'll talk about later. Okay, coming at number 9 is Flying Skull and Kitty Hawk. Now I've ridden 3 of these Vekoma Junior suspended coasters. However, I vaguely remember riding Flying Skull. I remember riding it when I was about 10. I haven't been to Legoland since 2012, and I don't have any plans returning to Legoland. I do remember riding it, but I vaguely remember my whole experience. And then Kitty Hawk, I rode it in 2016 when it was Flying Ice Aerial Chase. That ride was such a headbanger. Literally, my head was ricocheting back and forth like a pinball. It wasn't as bad as Mind Eraser, but it was just not good. So, yeah, and plus this coaster's for the kids. And literally, it's just so rough that I wouldn't even recommend it for children. There's many better kiddie coasters out there, like Woodstock Express at the same park. That's a kiddie wind coaster, and I think it's a good wind coaster. But this is just not good. I'd say tear this ride down and replace it with something like Freedom Flyer. Coming in number 8 is Swamp Thing at Wild Adventures. Now, this is the exact same ride as the last 2. Flying Skull and Flying Ice Aerial, or Kitty Hawk, my bad. This is the same as the last 2. However, compared to the other 2, this is not rough. Surprisingly, it's actually decently smooth. I found it to be pretty smooth. I didn't find it to be rough, which is kind of strange. My head didn't really ricochet at all. And one thing I'll say is that it's over water. This thing is over a swamp, and there's gators in it, which is really cool. It kind of fits that swamp theme that the park is going for. Now, it's not exactly a great ride. But, the ride's it's not bad. It's just, eh. Okay, coming in number 7 is Freedom Flyer at Fun Spot in Orlando. Now, this coaster is it's a good ride. I gotta say, it's good. It was better than I expected. The only problem with this ride is that it is pretty short. But, this coaster is actually decently forceful. And there's some good leg choppers to it as well. It feels like your legs are going to hit the supports anytime. And towards the end of the ride, you feel like there's a helix that your feet are super close to the fence, and it looks like your legs are literally going to just get chopped off by the fence. It's pretty cool, I gotta say. And this is one of the newer generation of Vekomas, so it's naturally going to be a much smoother ride than something like a Vekoma SLC. And it's just a fun ride, and I recommend it if you're at Fun Spot. Coming at number 6, the last of the non-B&M inverted coasters, is the coaster I was talking about earlier about the SLCs. This is the Great Noreaster at Maurice Peters. Now, like I said earlier, I hated the other 2 Vekoma SLCs. But why is this ride a lot higher than the other 2? I came into this ride with extremely low expectations because of the 3 SLCs I've ridden, this is the last one I've done. However, I knew that this coaster had the vest restraints and all. I knew it had the vest restraints. I was still thinking it would just be not good. However, once we exited that lift hill, my world was turned around. I was incredibly shocked by this roller coaster. Yes, it was a little shaky, but it was so much more tolerable because of the fact that your head's just is not getting smacked around by these hard restraints. You're just like experiencing a lot of G-force. It's intense. Like there's a big difference between rough and intense. This ride is intense, and I found the inversions to be fun. I got a pretty good kick out of the inversions as well. And overall, this is just a nice, solid ride. And I was actually thinking of rewriting it afterwards. I never did though, but like this is just a coaster that I recommend riding. And here's an incredibly unpopular opinion. I actually prefer this ride over the Sea Serpent Boomerang coaster. I am dead serious. Okay, now we are at our top 5, and these next 5 are the B&M inverted coasters. Coming at number 5 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Over Georgia, which this coaster may be cloned everywhere. I mean, this is the only Batman clone I've ridden, but you gotta say, these things are fun. They are very compact, very intense, and they're just overall amazing rides. Now, these rides are a little bit shorter than some of the other B&M inverts, and so that's why it's not ranked as high. But I mean, these things are a lot of fun, and even though this is the only B&M even though this is only the only Batman clone I've ridden, I'd be very more than welcome to experience the other Batman clones out there, such as like the ones at Magic Mountain, Great Adventure, and so forth. So let's move on to our number 4 spot, which is Great Bear, which is Hershey Park's B&M invert. Now, a lot of people really overlook this ride. They say it's one of the weaker B&M inverts, so I didn't think it would be like. I knew it wasn't going to be like my favorite inverted coaster, and it did not end up being my favorite. But I mean, I think this coaster is more than your average B&M invert. I think it's more than your average invert, and a lot of people were saying this is not a very intense ride at all, and it was honestly a lot more intense than I expected it to be. And I got a really good kick out of the inversions. I loved how it used the terrain to its advantage. Like, this coaster is only 90 feet tall. It has a drop of 128 feet. That's pretty impressive. And plus, it has a helix right after after the lift hill, we go straight to helix before the first drop. I thought that was really unique, and I like how it works in with the terrain, like I said earlier. And yeah, this is just overall one solid invert. Plus, it is incredibly smooth. One of the smoothest B&M inverts I've done. Okay, now we're at our top 3, and these next 3 are absolutely fantastic. Coming in number 3 is going to be an incredibly unpopular opinion. I know if Coaster Studios watch this, if Taylor watches this, he will be incredibly shocked by me putting this one so high. Coming in number 3 is Alpengeist. Now, I was a little more GP when I rode this coaster. I rode this coaster a couple years ago in 2016. I was getting into being enthusiast, but like I was still kind of like trying to figure out what my preferences were. And so I came to this, and I was like, I watched a review of Coaster Studios' opinions on this coaster, and he said it kind of sucked. So I came to this ride with very low expectations. However, it exceeded them. Like, he was mentioning that it was incredibly rough for B&M, and that Cobra Roll, he said, was just unbearably nasty. I gotta say, though, the Cobra Roll was the best part of the ride, in my opinion, which is kind of strange. I think Alpengeist is one of the best Cobra Rolls. It was just incredibly snappy and whippy, and also, even the other inversions were pretty awesome as well. Like, I was a really big fan of the Immelman vertical loop, the zero-G roller corkscrew. I thought the inversions were pretty awesome. And I like that ending where you kind of like glide through that snow. I think it's super cool. And he said it was rough, and I actually thought it was pretty smooth, which is kind of strange. Now taking part, like, this coaster is still not the smoothest B&M. I mean, I still found it to have a rattle, but I didn't get any headbanging. I rode this coaster twice, once in the front, once in the back, and I got a good kick out of this coaster, out of all honesty. And Taylor ranked this roller coaster lower than Loch Ness Monster. And honestly, I think Alpengeist is the second best coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I think it's better than rides like Griffin, Tempesto, Verbolten, Loch Monster. I have yet to ride Invader anyways. But I don't think this one's as good as a Polished Chariot. But I mean, this coaster was it was awesome. And I'd definitely go and ride it again if I ever go back to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Okay, coming in number 2 was my favorite B&M invert for a long time. When this channel first, when I started this channel, this next coaster was actually my favorite B&M invert. Coming at number 2 is Afterburn at Carowinds, which the reason why I consider it to be my favorite B&M invert was that this coaster, of the B&M inverts I've done, this is definitely the most intense one. I was incredibly surprised by how intense Afterburn was. Plus, it was also incredibly smooth, and the versions were just bang, 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 one element after another, super compact. And I love how during that Batwing section you go through a tunnel. I really like that. And this was just a kick butt invert. Now it's no longer my favorite because the next coaster on this list just really grew on me this year. But Afterburn is still one fantastic B&M invert, and I love it. Now one of the reasons why it's not as good as I'd say it was back then was because this coaster is a lot shorter. This coaster, it's kind of short. Now, it's not the shortest ride, but I mean, it's still not the longest ride. So that's why I had to give the edge to Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa, which this year, this coaster really grew on me this year. Now, it was one of my favorite inverts before I thought this was my favorite. I thought it was my second favorite until 2018. But I don't know what just happened, but Montu just really grew on me this year. Now, I did not go back. I only went to Busch Gardens once in 2018. I'm no longer a pass holder to Busch Gardens, so don't expect me at Busch Gardens all the time anymore. But this coaster, but anyways, from when I kept riding this coaster, I love Montu. This is honestly one of my favorite roller coasters of all time. And yes, this coaster might not be as forceful as Afterburn. I mean, it's still very intense. And I mean, it's just what I was saying earlier about Afterburn is that it is a bit of a short ride, and this coaster is very long. That's what I love about Montu. It's just that it's such a long ride. It's a nice sprawling long ride, and the inversions are just bang, 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 one element after another. Well, not as much as Afterburn, but it's a good ride. And plus, most of the inverts I've done, this thing is incredibly smooth. And I love how it works with the trenches and stuff. As you're exiting the trenches, you'll feel like you're doing flips like a gymnast. It's just a deliberating feeling that you need to experience for yourself. And my favorite element of Montu is that Batwing. Now, it's a shame that the Batwing is trimmed, but I mean, you still get some great forces on it. And the last ride I had on Montu, the Batwing is actually, the trims were actually off when I rode Montu in January of this year. The trims were actually off, and it was just incredibly forceful. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why Montu grew on me this year. And that's why I consider it my favorite inverted coaster as of 2018. So that will do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Now, I want to say something real quick. There are 2 roller coasters that you did not see on this list, which were the 2 Dragon Challenge roller coasters, which are no longer operating. So that's why they were both not on the video, because they're no longer in operation. And this is for roller coasters that are currently operating, so that's why you did not see Dragon Challenge on this list. But anyhow, that'll do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more videos in the future. Also, comment down below, what are your favorite inverts? And though there are some inverts out there that I've not ridden yet that I'd like to ride, such as Nemesis, Banshee, Black Mamba. There are some other inverts I'd like to ride as well. And Talon, my bad. And Talon as well. Also, don't forget to check out social media link, which will be in the description below. I will see you guys next time. Have a theme-tacular day.